Welcome to our July virtual farm visit. We've got Jeremy Savage and Peter here today to talk about what's been going on the farm, what's happening with wintering, and they're going to discuss the budget and break down the cost structure. So I'll hand it over to you, Peter.
Okay. Yeah. So obviously, sort of halfway through wintering. Well, should be, but we've had a couple of cows calve already, as you do. And wintering's been going really good actually. Cows are sort of had good utilisation through June before we sort of got that wetter weather towards the end of June. So we had some really good utilisation of feed up to then. Obviously, the rain has sort of not helped utilisation quite so much in the last week, but pretty good really. We've already got our R2s. They've come back to just our runoff across the road from the milking platform. We've had 2 of them calve already. They're about, to get into it really. So we do purposely calve them sooner than the rest of the herd. So sort of about 10 days, 14 days before we start the main herd calving. We've obviously AI'd them. So we've got about 86 of them to calve to AI over the next sort of 10 days. So that's going to be quite busy with them. First cut of cows coming home for sort of on the 16th of July. We planned start of calvings around about the 23rd of July, so 24th of July. So we've got the first cut of about 90 cows coming home to form the Springer mob, and then following Thursday we'll bring some more home, and then a week later pretty much all the ones will be back on the runoff across from the milking platform to calve over there. Haven't had too many issues over the winter. We've had just the one cow that's had mastitis over the winter. We had one slip earlier on, but other than that, it's been pretty minimal what's happened over the winter, so it hasn't been too bad. Just getting things organised, obviously, for calving. We've got a whole new team, 3 new staff for this coming milking season. Well, obviously, I'm with us now, so just getting them up to speed about how things go, and they've been busy sort of getting things organised and ready to go. Jeremy with us, was he runner?
No, that's all good. Thanks, Peter. So in terms of fresh start, you've got a whole new team. What sort of things are you focusing on them getting going, Peter?
Oh yeah, we're just doing a bit of team training. Obviously looking at systems, how we run the farm, and just a bit of training on obviously protocols around bobby calves and all that sort of stuff really. So just pretty much basic stuff, but just making refresher, and obviously as part of compliance and some of the stuff that we do, we need to have records of some of the training. So just making sure we're sort of crossing our T's and dotting our I's and those sorts of things. Yeah. Yep.
And a pretty short winter for you, isn't it, Peter? You're calving just 10 days away, less. So getting time off over that period. Yep.
So obviously new staff haven't really, they've been working just Monday to Friday, sort of 5 days a week, sort of only doing sort of 6-7 hours a day through most of June. Yeah, and still now, but that'll change sort of going forward. Myself, I managed to get a good 3 weeks off, so that's part of the leave that I need to take. Yeah, so all good to go.
Great. We'll crack into the just focus a bit on the finances side of it. So Peter and I have, you're now looking at PowerPoint, everybody, clear?
Yeah.
So Peter and I have just updated the budget for approval. We have a business advisory group who Peter and I bounce ideas off to make sure we're on track. So this will go to them for approval in a couple of weeks' time. But we've also just updated where we are at as well in terms of last year. Last year we would land, which wasn't quite where we hoped to land. So this is Lincoln University Dairy Farm. The season just finished, compared with McFarlane Rural Business, our database, which is about 45 farms who completed this data. Key sort of headlines is stocking rate slightly higher, daily death at 3.5 with a good growing farm. Production per hectare, 1748 versus our client base, it's 1524. The client base for MRB includes Canterbury plus 3 or 4 targeted farms as well. Per cow production, 499, so per cow is what went to Fonterra. and we harvest about 15 tonne, and it's a Farmax figure. You'll notice at Dairy Base, we see the numbers is significantly higher than that. What caught us out a bit was just at the tail end. There's a typo there with the MRB stuff. 466 kilos per cow. We ended up at in the final business, the client base did 600 kilos a cow. And we were on target for 330. Around our profitability, a couple of key notes there is our cost structure ran away with us on this autumn, and we'll get into where those costs got a bit higher in hindsight in a minute. But so 760 was the gross farm income. We've based this on a payout of 715. So we have 46 cents in there for stock income. And we were hoping to be significantly higher than that. Struggle to sell beef cows for a good profit, but also got caught with a number of calves dying with acorn poisoning of all things, which he had to contend with in May, which is a pretty rare event. But yeah, and that's reflected in our top line as well. So 449, 440 for the cost structure for LUDF. That compares with our client base of 449. That's excluding depreciations, but does include wages of management and run-off adjustments. And client base has sort of come up from 424, 437 the previous couple of years. So that's where we're sitting at the moment. I think, to be fair, our client base is probably slightly better than average as well. 434 in terms of the cash costs. The difference between the 434 and 440 is just a bit of lease land that we include in there as well. Breaking down the cost structures a little bit from a benchmarking point of view, you can see the labour cost per kilo of milk solids is 89 cents for LUDF versus 83 for across the client base. It isn't a super efficient farm just where it lands with 560 cows. It's a big job for 3 and an easy job for 4. So we've chosen to go to the 4 one. So LUDF's just missing the sweet spot there around efficiency. The animal health and breeding, we're doing some work on this one coming up as well just for next season. But yeah, 54 cents a kilo milk solids. We hope that was going to come back. We have got Yonis under control. The staff wasn't there this year, so testing, etc. was down. So we're expecting this to come back a bit this year. So they're disappointed to see it there still. One other comment too is our breeding program is Rolls-Royce. We have a reasonable amount of sex semen. We also have no bulls in our program. So for many farmers, their bulls are up in their trading account and don't pop up as an expense there. So that's part of the reason why LUDF is a bit higher as well. Feed and grazing is the one that's really caught us out this year. So we were on track for, I think our budget was $1.04, and we've blown it up by 52 cents a kilo milk solids. The key ones that we're aware of there, calf feed that caught us out. Rearing a whole lot of extra calves this season, that cost us in excess of 20 cents a kilo milk solids with milk powder and meal. And it's disappointing that we haven't seen that lift in our gross income as well. A good quote from our advisor, one of our advisory board members was, don't be shy about leaving your costs, growing your costs if you grow your top line, income line even more, but we haven't been able to achieve that. Fertiliser and nitrogen, that's back off the pace, but our nitrogen use is so much lower than our client base, which is 230 kilos of N. Repairs and maintenance, 680 in a hectare versus the client base of 370, or 35 cents versus 24. So we are conscious of the farm. There are a few unique demands on the property that many other people don't have to contend with, especially around traffic management and who can do hedges and who's prepared to work on the side of the road, keeping the farm in good shape. And the shed pen is 19 years old now, isn't it? 18, 19. and certainly seeing quite a few costs coming through in terms of the running of the shed, and it's getting dearer and dearer each year. Another personal observation of mine is we have a lot of technology on LUDF, and that technology is blooming expensive to maintain. We've got ProTrack coming up next year as well in terms of replacing those. Cup removers, ACRs, motherboards on the cow shed. The list just goes on. So the more technology you have, the higher R&M seems to be. Vehicles are reasonably well under control and should be even cheaper next year with some new gear. Overheads similar to our client base as well. Just some trends that we're seeing at the moment. Feed harvested is a big driver of profitability. LUDF is sitting in there. That's LUDF right there. Sure the label white, but so for every tonne that we can harvest on the farms, our profitability improves by $560 a hectare. That's at a $7.30 payout, which is what we were using in May when we completed the analysis. This is going to be a bit of a challenge for some of our farmers coming up. We find that we can, certainly in mid-Canterbury, with normal altitude farms, achieve 13 to 14 tonne to the hectare, so we've got quite a cluster of farms there. 13 to 14 tonne to the hectare we can do with centre pivot from 30 metres altitude up to 200 metres of altitude. Once we get above 14 tonne, Lincoln being the exception, most of this is achieved with quite high nitrogen use. These farms would be typically sort of 250, 300 kilos of into the hectare for doing 15, 16 tonne. The challenge we're going to have as a dairy industry is for these 15, 16 tonne farms is to move left and join these very profitable farms at 14, 15 tonne rather than slide down the graph. If they slide down the graph, they'll lose $560 for every tonne of feed that they don't harvest. So another point too, LUDF is sitting at 15 tonne this year. It's for 170 kilos of nitrogen, it's a very high performing farm around the feed harvest. Farmex numbers were 17.2 tonne when we were harvesting for Farmex when we were spreading 330 kilos in, so we'll certainly come back as well, but we've been able to maintain profitability with the changes we've made since, and we'll have some more focus on that and focus dates when they come up in October. Impact of production on profitability. Don't normally see this relationship as strong as this, but this is the impact of a 730 payout. So we're certainly, this year we have seen production driving profitability across our client base, more so than ever, and that's on the back of a higher payout. So at a 450 payout, when we run the numbers through that becomes an absolute shotgun blast, no relationship whatsoever. Same thing with per cow production as well, where we've seen a trend where high per cow production has lifted profitability as well. Yet again, that's something we're being careful about because that's a high payout driving that more so this year. Impact on cost structures on a per kilo milk solids basis. This is normally the key driver for profitability. But this year, the trend hasn't been quite as strong because of impacts of per cow production and per hectare production, sort of distorting a few of these relationships as well. And we have a couple of outliers in here as well. These two dots up here with cost structures of 450, they have been able to successfully grow the cost line and the income line at a far, far greater rate of not. So these two properties here have $1 worth of $1 per kilo milk solids worth of stock income coming in from getting involved in Wagyus and beef, etc., etc. So we've got a couple of farms that have been able to prove the strategy that LUDF was trying to embark on this year, but we weren't able to execute as well as they have been on. We also, as you can see, struggling to get farmers. Our average was 445 or 449, but less and less farmers are able to achieve below $4 cost structures now. What we're seeing with these ones are typically 1650, 1700 a hectare, shallow water farms, so they have Valletta, Lyndhurst, sort of, or shallow water towards the coast, so low cost irrigation. This chap, 356 or 350, that dot is genuine. I've checked several times. What's unique about that farm, to my point about technology before, is they have rotorainers, they have no ProTrack, no in-shed feed systems, no palm kernel systems. Very simple effluent systems. They just have the bare basics on their property, and that's how they're able to run it, and it's very profitable as well. So just highlights that if you want to be super, super cheap, then we can't afford to have too many whistles and bells. So that's the relationship between cost structure and profitability. And in my view, if you're above 460, 470, you've got something you need to have a really good work on, as per these farms down here do. So for this year's budget coming up, so we have got, in terms of production numbers, so we're budgeting to do same size herd at peak milk, 560 cows. Feed harvested staying the same, but being a bit more efficient with our feed and pulling our supplement use back to 330 kilos a cow from the 466 this season. Most of that was in the autumn. In terms of our cost structure, we are aiming to pull our cost structure back to 395 with the draft, current draft of the budget. We've budgeted at this stage, this is for approval, we have a milk price of $6.20, so we've got 52 cents worth of stock sales in there. Our livestock sales, we've in the process of entering an agreement with Craigle Sustainables. They will be, we specifically use some Angus semen that, and beef semen in last year's mating that they would like to use in terms of finishing. So we're looking at, rather than rearing them ourselves, entering an agreement with off farm to take them off us at that 4 to 6 day old mark. We're also anticipating having some spare surplus heifers, and Peter will be marking those spare heifers probably in the next couple of weeks to try and gauge the interest in there, but we expect to see 50, 60 sort of surplus heifers come up. Rather than rearing them right through, we'll try and get rid of them at 4 to 10 days as well to take the pressure off our calf rearing systems and our cost structures as well. Other area that we, so there's so 395. So around, just breaking down our cost structures a wee bit. Labour last year, there was a few one-offs in terms of we were short-staffed at the time and reliant on casual, catching Peter's time off up a bit as well, so we pulled back our labour slightly. Animal health and breeding, still waiting for a bit of feedback from LIC. We have simplified our breeding program. We're aiming for less heifers the following season. Hopefully we'll see our cost of breeding come back a bit. Feed and grazing, so that's $1.35, not 35 cents. That's coming back with less, hopefully less calf feed and pulling back about 120, 130 kilos of soft silage per cow. The other thing that added 5 cents to the cost structure in our feed last year were poo kickers of all things. So single wrap, individual wrap bales of baleage. Poo has developed a fetish for and did quite a bit of damage, and Peter had to offload that stuff and buy in bales that wasn't damaged. Repairs and maintenance, $4.69 versus $6.618 last year, and that's just a bit of a work on. That's probably me challenging Peter in terms of how we can we pull that back. We've gone through a list of what we think we need, but we did that exercise last year as well. But just finding things are sneaking away on us as well. Vehicles and fuel, we have a new tractor, new side, or second-hand size wagon that's pretty new. So we've got some savings coming through there as well with some upgrade of some gear. So combination of all our work-ons at the moment, we're hoping to pull that back to cost structures back to 395. This year, LUDF ended up sort of spot on, or just a bit under average in terms of cost structure. The operating profit per hectare was a lot higher because our production's pretty solid. We need to be operating, and one of our challenges from the farmers of our board is to be operating in the top 10%, and we won't be doing that at 440, so we need to get those cost pressures back. Cool, so that's the breakdown of our budget and what we're shaping up for, and where our costs have blown out, and what we need to be working on.
Well, great. Thank you, Jeremy. We've got a question coming through, Peter, just wondering when we're going to restart the Tuesday farm walks with the public being invited to join.
We did one today, but the next one will probably be the 28th. So the 28th of July will be the first one.
Cool. Yeah, and I'll send an email and make a Facebook event for that. The first one of the season, really.
Yep.
But yeah, another question just came through about the mating strategy. With lowering your spend this year around this area, are we not going to be maximizing our genetic gain?
Yep. No, we're quite comfortable that we're maxing that out pretty well. We're using genomic sex semen on our superior cows. So what we're going to be doing is swapping out probably more at the bottom end of our genetics around the heifers and getting more beef animals. The beef animals are easier to sell at 4 days old than our dairy crosses. So with Peter's great records and our and the breeding program in place, we'll still be making the most in terms of genetic gain by prioritising our best cows with sex.
Great, thank you. All right, I think that's it for the questions. So yeah, we can wrap things up. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Jeremy. And yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks on the 21st of July, and we'll have Jerry and Zed joining us to do a webinar around calving.